So back to the video talking about programming with Nick's tutorial for Raylib, making Pong. His was great. Very, very beginner friendly. And I was like, well, it's not scalable. At the same time, his program is for that specific purpose. And the anti-argument on this is it's over-engineered. No reason to make more code than is necessary for the game you're trying to build. That's reasonable as well. Remember, there's always a different school of thought. And nobody's wrong or right. There's just different plans of action. With that being said, I sped run this entity class, and overall, it's garbage. I don't like it. This is okay. It's definitely not my favorite. And we're going to kind of come over here into globals. I'm going to call this class, and I'm going to make iRenderable. And in this class, I'm going to make a virtual void render function, and it's going to be a pure virtual function. We're going to call it render. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm also going to do a virtual void update. Kind of contemplating fixed update because that is for something that is, the player, something that's controlled. Kind of debating update as well. The only thing is multiple lists holding on to the same guy isn't necessarily great either. For now, we'll just say render. Class iRenderable. File, new file, scene.header. And we will also need a file, new file, scene.cpp. And in CPP, we can include our scene.header. And back to the header. What are we doing here? Well, we're going to hash include our globals. You can pragma once. You don't have to. Maybe. I'll try not on this one. I'm going to make a class called scene here. And go public like that. All right. So class scene, what does it have? Well, we're going to have a couple other things to include. In fact, because of that, I am going to pragma once here. 3 things, in fact, that I want to include. I want to include the vector class. This is for list. This isn't like the Raylib's vector. I want to include map. I want to also include this thing called algorithm. We'll see why here in a minute. And here, from the standard library, I want to have a map of stuff. We're going to come back to globals here because I'm a bit forgetful sometimes, guys. It happens. We're gonna jump back, and I'm gonna make another thing. This one's gonna be an enumerator. It's gonna be an enum class called layers. And here I'm gonna say background entity and UI, like so. So we have these 3 things. This would be 0, 1, and 2. And we have a class iRenderable. And we're going to jump back over to scene. So our map is going to include layers, and it's also going to include a vector of iRenderables. And we're going to call this renderables, like so. We're going to need a function to add to our scene, remove from our scene and draw our scene. Like so. So we're going to add, we're going to remove, we're going to draw. When we add, we're going to want to know which layer, and we're going to take a iRenderable pointer as well. And we want the same thing to know who are we removing from our renderables as well. I'm going to file, save, and jump into scene here. And from scene, let's do add to scene. And I know that we need our layers and our iRenderable pointer as well. I'm going to actually come over here, type my void, and copy paste this line just because remove from scene is not much different. And then void draw. Notice we need to make sure it's the scene object draw. Alright, so add to scene, remove from scene, and draw. How do we add to our renderables? Well, quite simply, if I say, hey, get out of caps locks first, but type in renderable. What's the deal here? Not quite sure. So I'm just going to go like that. And renderables at our layer. And I'm going to say we're going to push back our right-hand side, like so. This is going to add to our scene the guy, the iRenderable. And we need to draw. We need to draw the things here as well. Before I talk about draw and removal, let's go over to our entity. And in fact, I'm actually going to take in fact, from here, we're going to make sure that our entity inherits from iRenderable. And it's going to be public inheritance, like so. And this means that we have to redefine render. And this is also virtual here. So virtual void render. I'm going to come over here. We're going to call that render. Just like so. Easy peasy, boom, 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 boom. iRenderable. And in our scene, so if we come over here to loop, and instead of including our entity here, I'm actually going to include scene. And you know what? We're also going to include entity. So just for this example for now, because we're going to be building more of a game engine style. So we're going to be making a scene here. I'm going to come over into our initialization. And I'm going to say, hey, entity pointer E, you're a new entity. And in this case, I'm going to say, hey, scene, I want to add to my scene that object. Now, fixed update and update, we won't be able to see in this case. And calling e.draw, we can't do either because this pointer is being passed to scene. And then we're going to rely on our scene to draw. This is going to allow some separation of concern. This scene is going to also do a couple really nice things for us. And I'm going to do a couple things here. So let me Let me go back to loop because this add to scene needs a layer as well. So we're going to say, hey, layers, and we're going to put you on the background. But then we're going to want another one. I'm going to call you like temp. And we're going to put you on entity layer, and just for case in point, we'll make this one slightly smaller, like so. Back over in scene, I want to draw all those things. So in this case, I'm going to say auto, or I suppose it'd be for auto, and then we're going to make these brackets here, and I'm going to say layer, and rendered inside of renderables. Just going to make sure that's the same thing. And then I'm going to say for I renderable pointer in rendered. So for these things inside of this, for this, then we are going to say so render, we'll just say obj in rendered, like so. And we can say obj dot render. And I'm going to come over into globals here because I believe that needs to be public. And then we're going to call draw to scene. Make sure that's described there better. Just kind of hopping all around here. So draw scene, file, save all, come over here, make clear, make clean, make it again. See what happens here. Notice the comma. That should be colon there. Yeah, and that is the what I was looking for here. So it cannot convert iRenderable to an iRenderable pointer. I thought I made that a pointer. So that should help that there. Let's make clean again. Let's run our program. Oh, they're both red. Ha! And that'll do it. So here, just for sake of being quick, I'm going to pass in a color C, like so. And we're going to make sure it's the color, and then we're just going to say, hey, color equals C, and do color C up there. And then come back over to our loop here and do like red and green. Did I file save? I did not file save, so let's check that again. So it might seem, not not all that impressive. Got a little green square on top of a red. The point is here, without even having these in this order, so for example, if we instantiated temp before the other, he's still going to be on top. But if we made this layer for the red guy UI now and compile, red's going to be on top. This is a nice layer system. This is going to allow whatever layer we tell it to be added to. So for example here, if I say, hey, you're going to be on the background layer, entity layer is always going to be drawn on top of background. Similar UI is always going to be drawn on top of both in the order of UI over top, entity over top of background. This is the really powerful way to, instead of, for example, going back to our game loop here, saying, hey, draw text, and then draw entity 1, draw entity 2, draw this wall, that wall, the other wall, maybe even put that in a bucket class, draw and this and that. No, just draw the scene. That's it. In fact, we could use a draw text thing to denote this example as well. So for example here, if we did a draw text like so and did position.x, position.y, 50, and did color as well, like so, and then, I don't know, let's just say int num here, for example, and do like fs is num, font size, and said, hey, here's fs, come over here. I'm just going to add a font size variable real quick, like so. So we're saying, hey, we're going to draw the text at this position. Here's our font size, here's our color. And I come back over to loop, and we're like, hey, this entity, he's going to be green. He's going to be like 30. He's on the entity layer, and this guy, he's on the UI layer. He's going to be 50. And oh yeah, we want another guy here, and I'm going to say you're on the background, and you're going to be like, I don't know, size like 10. You're going to be, black and yada yada. Seeing here, oh, that makes sense. And for this case, I'm going to delete those. Oh, it's actually, we can leave that. I did not put that in the constructor definition, declaration, I put it in the definition. Make clean, clear, make, see what's happening here. Oh, that was previously declared. I didn't change the name of him. So back in loop, I probably have 2 temps here. Yep. My bad, guys. I get a bit excited from time to time. Anyway, we'll make, and we will run. And we can see our layer system in action. The green is over top of the black. The red is over top of the green. This is a really nice way to keep objects drawn without stacking them in particular orders. I really, really like this method. Very much consider this in any like homemade project you do, denoting a layer system using an enumerator and having some type of structure to declare And notice here, we have a little bit of inheritance structure. We have an interface, iRenderable, and entities are an iRenderable. And of course, in this example, I wanted to quickly showcase what and how we were using that layer system.